guys, it's your faithful crafter, the one-armed crafter, coming in tonight to make this card for you. And I'm going to show you how to make this simple card only using one hand. So first of all, we're going to make this identical card, but we're going to do it in a little different color. So I'm going to bring in some of my tools here. I use the little mason jar cutout. And I have a little stamp that says to let you know I'm praying for you. And I have some little dots to glue things on. I have a little piece of ephemera that we're going to stick down inside the jar. And then I have the card base, which is just a white cardstock. It is 5.5 by 4 1/4, folded, of course, so that the actual length is 5.5 by 8.5. And then we'll use another layer that is 5 1/4 by 4. So we're going to start by cutting out this little mason jar to put on the front. So I'll get a little scrap piece of paper. I keep all of my scraps. And I'm going to tape it in place so that it doesn't move around. So I've just got a little piece of tape here that I'll tape it on. I use my arm, but I don't have a hand there. That's another story that I've got on TikTok and also my Facebook group. So I'm going to reach over here to my Gemini Junior and turn it on. I can't pick it up and show it to you because it's too heavy to do with one arm and it would take too long. So I'm going to take this and put it upside down on this magnetic plate. And as you can tell, these are well worn and warped, but that's okay, they still work. And I flip them around back and forth so that they will get straightened out. But you'll hear my Gemini Junior here as I get it to go through and cut this little mason jar out. I used to have a crank cutter, or I can't even think of what you call it now. But anyway, I used to have a crank one, but once I lost my arm or my hand, I can't use that anymore. So here's the result. I have a nice little mason jar. So we'll put this off to the side. But this little electric one has been a lifesaver. So now we're going to get this little thing and we're going to stamp a mason jar with the sentiment that I want on it. I'm going to use my magnet to hold it in place. I'll put my little sentiment right there. I hope y'all will hop over to my YouTube channel. Haven't actually started it yet, but I hope to real soon. Still trying to figure out how to do all of this technological stuff, but I have a great story to tell about how I lost my hand. I only lost it back in December of 23, so it's only been not yet 6 months. So we're going to press this down. I do have one of these little things, but it's not as easy for me to use as it is for me to just press my hands. There, that turned out nice. All right. I'm going to spritz my little stamp with some water, just plain water. I know there's solutions out there that you can use, but the water works just fine for me. And I'll clean that stamp off. It's always good when you have a new stamp to try to use it in a press like this, because it takes several inkings before it will actually absorb the ink and come out nice for you. So now we're going to take this little green piece, and let's see, how do we want this turned? I had this one in the landscape. I'm thinking maybe do this one in the portrait if it'll fit, but let's see. I don't think it's going to fit by the time I get my flowers on there. No, it's going to have to be landscape as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over, and I'm going to put some little dots on here. They have paper on the top of them, so sometimes I peel them off first, sometimes I don't. Those just got stuck together. Let's see what we can do. I try to keep my nails just a wee bit longer so I can use them. Okay, I'm going to, well, darn it. Anybody else have this problem? Probably not, because you got two hands. But that's okay. God saved me for a reason, if you watch my story. And I believe it was to witness for him and tell others how he is so good. But watch my story if you haven't already, and hopefully it will move you a little bit. But I have a very positive outlook on life, and I'm very grateful to be alive. I have a beautiful, wonderful, supporting family, and they have been like rocks for me throughout this journey. Like I said, it's only been, not even been 6 months. The amputation occurred on December the 19th of 23. Let's get this down. I'm going to try to get this paper off on the tops. Maybe I'll use my nails. That might work better. Yeah. But I love to craft, and I did not want to stop just because I'd lost a hand. So I continue with my crafting. I make greeting cards and give them out as gifts. Gonna be doing my first craft show here in a couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll be able to sell some of these, but you know, if not, it's okay. It's a hobby. It's not gonna be making my life any different. Okay, so now we're going to flip this over, and we're going to put it where I want it, which is toward the bottom, and try to center it up as best I can. And you know, when you're making cards, it's not a perfect science. It's not like mass production, you know, with machines. So that's part of the beauty of it, is it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. So I'm going to flip over my ephemera here, which is a little rose. And I'm using Bearly Art Precision Craft Glue. I love this glue. I keep wanting to get one of those. I think it's by Sweet Petunia Precision Press. Sometimes if I can't get this to hold still, I will use, hang on a second, let me get it out of here, a piece of tape runner and just put it on my glass table. I can get them out. Just to hold that in place for a minute. And then glue it down. That way it doesn't run away from me when I'm trying to glue. You have to find what works for you and your circumstance. But even with life's challenges, we still have to try. We can't give up. We're only here on this earth for a certain amount of days, and we don't know how many days that is. So we have to do what we can to make the best of a situation. So now we're just going to slip this in here, and I've got some glue on it, and pop it in like that. What do you think? I think it looks pretty good. Now the one thing that I will say is that the edges of this sometimes will look pretty rough. So what I can do is I'll flip it over and I'll take a little emery board and just kind of smooth it around like this, just to kind of take the rough edges off. That is mostly caused by the type of paper you get and how it's being cut. I don't think it has anything to do with the cutter itself that you use. All right, so now we're going to, as you see, this is not exactly straight. So we'll take care of that in a minute, but we're going to turn it this way. And, well, let's just take care of that now. I'm going to show you how I cut paper. I use my reverse tweezers. When you let go of them, they tighten instead of the opposite way. And this raises it up just a little bit to where I can hold it with my arm. I'll take some scissors and trim this little piece off. So that it's a little bit straighter. Okay, that works. Now, I keep trying to turn that the other way. Now we're just going to glue this on here. And again, I'm going to use my piece of tape, sticky tape that I use there to hold that in place, if I can. There, I think that'll hold it. And we're going to glue again. And it's so much easier when you have two hands, but you know, you do what you got to do. And sometimes I have to use my arm to hold it still. It's not wanting to hold to that piece of tape I had there. As you see. Okay, so we're going to hold it with my arm. And yeah, I get glue and everything else on this arm. I find I have pieces of paper stuck to it. All right, here we go. We're going to flip this around where it's right side up and oriented correctly. Now here comes fun parts, trying to get it straight without using both hands. Sometimes it takes me a couple of times to get it right where I want it. Oh, that looks good on the top. Looks like I need to move it up a little bit. It's got me a little bit of a, oh, nope, it's crooked down here. So we're gonna pull it up and we're gonna do it again. Try, and try again till you succeed. There. Okay. One last thing to do, and that is stamp it. You always want people to know where they can find you. And I did not do that right. So let's see. I have some address labels that I have stamped already, so I will just cover that up with one of these. Sometimes I don't have the right pressure. I should have stamped it before I did the mason jar on it. Homemade from the Heart, Faith Creations by Mary. TikTok at Faithful Crafter. I hope you join me again.